All right, and welcome back. We are back from our week off. This is Forest Fitness. We're going to be doing this now every Tuesday at 10 a.m. from now until August 18th, every single Tuesday. Along the way, we're going to be talking about things like running, hiking, biking, and doing a little bit of active recovery out there too. So make sure to join us every Tuesday at 10 o'clock. We're going to be doing this again through the end of August. We're going to be focusing on locations all across Will County. So if you're somebody who's interested in getting out and exploring a little bit more of the Will County Forest Preserve District, seeing what we have to offer as an organization, and maybe stopping by a fitness premiere in most of our locations at the exact same time, that's an opportunity for you to do that. I know Joe would love to tell you a little bit more about Fitness Premiere today.
Absolutely. So Fitness Premiere, we're in 11 communities right now. A lot of them are in the Will County area. We stretch from, the Beecher, Crete, Monee, Manhattan, Minooka areas. And then we stretch all the way down to Champaign, Pontiac, Streeter, and then all the way out to Lowell, Indiana. So, and they're all pretty much bordering the preserves that we have. So that we've been working at. So we are a 24/7 club. You basically get a key card to the place if you join. So you can really have no excuse to be able to get to the gym because we're open 24 hours, 7 days a week.
So as we've gone over in the previous episodes, we're going to tell you a little bit about why we're doing Forest Fitness this year. I want to put a little bit of spin on it today because it is absolutely a sauna outside. This gives you the tools to go out and explore and recreate in your own way. These are the types of tips and tricks coming from a certified professional trainer and somebody who knows the forest preserves really well. We're going to give them to you, the public, so that you can go out and figure out where you want to do something, how you want to do something, and how you want to get started. Especially this time of year, a lot of people are going to do even today's topic really early in the morning, maybe in the evening as before it gets hot or after it cools down a little bit. So these are going to be some resources for you. We would have loved to have been doing these in person with you this year, but with the COVID-19 pandemic, we had to make some adjustments as organizations. So we came up with this idea and we wanted to present it to you. Joe, why was Fitness Premiere interested in getting involved with the Forest Preserve in this?
Fitness is our passion. I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. And, fitness in general, whether it's indoors, outdoors, all that, it's a need in the society, especially in the state that our world is in. This is like really one thing that's really going to help you stay healthy for the longevity of, your life, but also during this rough time right now. So, it made perfect sense. I love using the forest preserves and stuff that, Will County has to offer. So, I even got to go out and go kayaking in the Monee Reservoir, which we'll talk about in the next week. So it's a lot of tools. And to be honest, Ben, if it wasn't for, partnering up for this, I personally probably wouldn't have known about the different things that we're doing. So I'm actually personally seeing a lot of preserves that Will County has to offer for the first time. So it's really cool. And it really gives us a time to not just be indoors, especially in this era where we live in the Chicagoland area. We got about 6 months where you don't want to be outside, and then you got 6 months that you want to be outside. Well, 3 months, because these next 4 or 5 weeks, we maybe don't want to be outside, but early morning stuff, all that. So it sounded like a perfect, harmony for us to team up and do this.
One of the things I want to touch on early on today too, is as we enter the hottest part of our year, basically beginning of July to the middle of August, one of the things that's really important to do is make sure you're checking the weather. You don't want to get, first of all, stuck out maybe before a rainstorm or a thunderstorm and you try many of these activities. And secondly, if there's a low air quality alert that's going on, keep an eye on that, because if you're out trying to run in 94, 95 degrees with a real feel of around 105, you're going to tire and find yourself maybe in a really dangerous position.
Absolutely.
So make sure you're checking the weather report. Make sure you're making a good, informed decision for yourself so that you don't find yourself out there in a position that you don't want to be in.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of the apps, if you look down at the bottom of like the Weather Channel app, they actually have a running score. The score 1 to 10, 10 being absolutely great time to go for a run. That also translates to a walk, anything, really just being outside, all the way down to a 1, which is like, don't go outside. So
I
you
know
always have that.
a lot of people definitely, like I mentioned earlier, early in the morning,
Mhm.
later in the evening, this time of year. You can
Absolutely.
still get out, you can still enjoy nature, but just make sure that if you are going to go out in the middle of the day, you are prepared for what you might run into.
100%.
So Joe mentioned that he's gotten to see a few of our forest preserves across Will County. A couple weeks ago, I took him out with me so he could film me running at Wallin Lake, which brings me to today's highlighted forest preserve, which is going to be Wallin Lake, which is located on Royce Road in Naperville. Wallin Lake is among the northernmost preserves within the district's holdings. It was acquired between 1992 and 1994. The site offers some of the best recreational opportunities that we have and can be found at any preserve, including the 80-acre lake for fishing, kayaking, and canoeing, 12 acres worth of dog park, and among the most interconnected trail systems found anywhere in Will County. Wallin Lake is one of the top fishing spots in all the county. The public has the option to use the fishing wall or bring their own boat, which they can launch at no charge. Only trolling motors are allowed to be used while on your watercraft, but the lake does allow for canoeing and kayaking as well. If you don't have your own kayak, the Forest Preserve does partner with Naperville Kayak to provide rentals during the weekend evenings at the location. There is a 1.6-mile loop around Wallin Lake itself, which is perfect for running, biking, and rollerblading. The remaining 2.1 mile of trail at Wallin Lake Preserve connects to hidden lakes to the south and has connections to the DuPage River Trail to the north, east, and west. The trail at Wallin Lake routinely sees some of the highest traffic of any trail in the county. Make sure to go onto our website, reconnectwithnature.org, to review more resources on trail safety and how to best share the trails with other users. Wallin Lake plays hosts annually to several public events and programs. It is an extremely desirable location with its setting with the most densely populated portion of Will County. With two reservable picnic shelters, the site also serves as a great spot for family picnics and parties. It's a wonderful location. It's definitely in a very densely populated area. If you're coming from majority of Will County, you're either going to be headed up Route 53, Weber Road perhaps, or coming off of Boughton Road to get there, and you're going to be going through densely populated Plainfield, Naperville, and Bolingbrook to get from it. So within those communities, this is a really great escape to where you feel like you might be surrounded by nothing but subdivided communities, maybe apartment complexes, shopping malls. Within that community, you have a great escape to an oasis.
It's really like a hidden gem because I didn't even know it was located, where it was located. So going up there and seeing it, once you pull in, it's like you don't really see a lot of that. It's just like a hidden gem in that area. So I was pretty stoked to see that one.
Once you come down Royce Road, it takes a nice steep hill around. You think what you're looking at is the lake, but you actually continue to follow the drive to the back and you open up to Wallin Lake, which is where the 80-acre lake is. It's an old strip mine that was in that area, and you can tell as you look at it, and you can see actually a strip mine behind it that hopefully one day might be part of the amenities there as well. But it's a really great place to see a lot of unique wildlife. We have quite a few bald eagle sightings there this year, as if you may have seen from the scrolling photos. It's one of those spots, and being near the 4th of July, who doesn't love seeing that symbol of American pride there?
Absolutely.
So as we get into talking a little bit about today's fitness topic, we're going to talk about running. Joe, definitely the more experienced runner of the two of us. He's been doing it for a longer amount of time. Though if we were to race today, I probably would get the edge.
I don't know about that. I just ran my 5K time in 25 flat. So.
Oh, okay. Well,
Aha.
Well, I just ran a half marathon myself. So
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your running history, what you got started into it.
So mine started really to get into shape. I was starting into 2009, going into 2010. I really basically looked at myself and I said, I got to do something. And at the time, I played football. I did a lot of sports in high school and stuff, but I really didn't have a path or anything on how to lose weight. I didn't have a trainer and anything like that. So I just started running, one foot in front of the other, and proceeded to start to lose my weight, and did a lot of my weight loss during running. Very quickly, we jumped into things. Like we did, I think 15 5Ks my first year, which is a tax write-off.
Most of those do go to charitable causes. So
because they go to a charitable cause. So not only were we getting a write-off being a business owner, it was also good for my health. So, you know, I just started doing that. And then right away, that first year of me starting my fitness program, my running program, we actually got tied up with St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and we run from Chicago to Peoria. Every year we've done that since then. So this will be year number 11. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we aren't being able to do that big run, but we got something special here planned. So stay tuned at our Facebook pages and stuff to hear more about that. But that's a 160-mile journey. It goes from Lyle High School all the way to Chicago. And really, that's why I still run. It's the only reason, because I personally lost my passion for running, so to say. But I do it because I can. So I just kept starting and kept doing it. And every year, you know, we get on a training plan, whether it's a 5K training plan, a 10K training plan, half marathon. It's just some kind of plan to get into it. And so you have a plan during your running season. So I have trained multiple Chicago marathoners. I personally have ran the Chicago Marathon myself.
Impressive.
And probably 10 or so half marathons. So been around the block once or twice. So I'm excited about this topic.
I'm definitely less experienced in that realm, and I would by no means refer to myself as a great runner or maybe not even a good runner.
You've seen his form.
So I started running really consistently in 2018. I was trying to lose weight. I had just had my second daughter my second child, my daughter, in 2017. I really wanted to be a more active, more physically fit dad so that I could keep up with them and not get winded from walking up the stairs. So I started running, and growing up, I had a big athletic background, and I always hated running. Just something I never enjoyed doing. I was a big baseball player, and I was a pitcher. And what did we do when we weren't pitching? Well, we were told to run. So that really took my enjoyment from it away at an early age. And it wasn't until 2018 that I started to enjoy it. And one of the biggest things that made that happen, we'll get into equipment later, was a good pair of shoes.
Oh, yeah.
For a lot of people, they go out and they don't run. I found out I have very flat feet. So once I got the right shoes, I was suddenly able to go much further than I'd ever been able to go in the past.
Shoes are huge.
So that was one of the things that got me into running. I started also running 5Ks that were for good causes. I got involved, and this year I plan to run a big half marathon, but there weren't any. Yep. So I recently ran my own by myself for most of it, but then we did have people like the group that Joe mentioned from St. Jude's. Many of them came out, joined me for the run. My wife and kids came with me for a little while. One of the things that I never thought I had any interest in doing, running over 13 miles.
13.2.
13.2.
But 0.2 counts.
It does. Being willing to do that, I never thought that'd be something I'd be interested in. But once you get into it, we might touch on it later, but they have that thing called the runner's high. So when you're out and everything's euphoric, and you can just, I like it because I can zone out. I can just go through the motions. I can turn my brain off and enjoy nature.
Yep.
enjoy the activity.
And the preserves are great to do that. Just with the animals, the nature, all that. So a lot of times we do a lot of our running on the streets too. Mm-hmm. You see a lot of people do that. So that's why this is a great topic for the Forest Preserve and, you know, fitness in general, because it's really a great place to go out and have good scenery.
Mm-hmm. Joe, you mentioned you've trained several runners who have run the Chicago Marathon. You were the one who first got me to be able to run 1.5 miles, which was important to me at the time. What are some of the tips that you have for somebody just starting out? Maybe we'll use someone else's term, but the couch to 5K type of person. They're just getting started.
Walking is okay. That would be number one. I always start people that have never done anything like this before, and you'll see in the workout that I put together for us. It's okay to start 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, an hour and a half walks. I know we did the rucksacking seminar last time. It doesn't have to be with a backpack on there, just getting out there and walking. And then you transition to a run walk aspect. That's really like that couch to 5K aspect, where you run a little bit, walk a little bit, run a little bit, walk a little bit. And I'll dive more into that when we get to it. But it is okay to walk 100% of the time. Even if you have to, even if you're planning on trying to get your fastest race. My first half marathon I did, I trained my butt off. the whole 9 yards. I finished in like 2 hours and 15 minutes. And one of the guys that, you know, I trained in the club, he was a run walker. And I only beat him by 10 minutes. So it's like, I trained my, you know what, off, and I only beat him by 10 minutes. In a half marathon, that's 13 miles. That's, you know, that's a minute a mile, 45 seconds a mile. So it's not like I was blowing him out of the water. So it is okay to walk. We'll dive more into that, but that's always going to be the biggest thing. Trust your body. It's the only model you have. So I really stress that a lot. And the weather plays a big part too. You know, I did a run yesterday for our St. Jude's training at 5 p.m. Sunday, and it was brutal. So really find the right conditions. Sometimes it's early morning, sometimes it's late in the evening. So really just find that perfect condition. It's going to really help.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you see first-time runners, or maybe somebody's had a long gap between running, start to make?
Running for the first time in the Kohl's $49 shoes. No offense to Kohl's $49 shoes. I actually, you know, like those shoes for everyday stuff, but a good pair of shoes is really going to be a game changer. And then also I always tell people, even if you're on your feet all day and you have the ability to wear running shoes, so to say, get fitted for them, even if you got to wear them all day long. Like I wear a pair of running shoes all day long. Those are some old ones.
These are my old ones. You're right.
So wearing a good pair of these, like you can get some of those shoes in like in all black if you got to wear black, but this will change the way your body feels. Guarantee it. Even if it's walking, spending all day at work on your feet, if you're, you know, a cashier, whatever your profession is, it's really going to change it. So that is always number one. I tell people all the time, if you're going to start running, get a pair of shoes.
Those definitely, one of the things I would suggest is actually going to a running store with those, because they have special machines. They've got a well-trained eye. So as you walk, they're going to tell you that you overpronate or you oversupplement.
Yep.
I don't have that problem, so I always forget that one. I definitely overpronate. So what you'll do within the right type of a shoe, there are many brands out there. You've got the Nikes, Under Armours, things like that, especially if you don't do either the overpronation or supplementation.
But just remember, Nike, Under Armour, and all them are not
running
shoes.
Correct. Lots of brands, but I know some of the big ones in the running community are going to be your Asics, your New Balance, Brooks, Saucony, Mizuno. Those are some really good ones to find out. So once you get told what you need, that's where they're going to add a little bit of extra support. On my old Sauconys here, you can't really tell, but you can see that they've added extra support right there. That way, when I strike the ground, my foot's not flattening out and sending unnecessary vibration through the rest of my body and really making it an unenjoyable experience. Your shins definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You see a lot of people end up with shin splints from running. Maybe they're wearing ill-fitting shoes, the wrong type of shoes.
And if you look at his shoes, you want to pull that up again? These are not good ones anymore. Shoes, people don't understand. Even if you keep them clean and all that, running shoes only last anywhere from 400 to 500 miles. Okay, so a lot of those running apps that you have out there will actually have a spot to track your mileage for those shoes. If you really like your pair of shoes, buy another pair that you can wear every day, because what I tell everybody is these are your running shoes. You only wear them to run, because that's the way you're going to make them last longer. Okay, they literally have a shelf life of, you know, roughly about 4. Sometimes you can get 500 miles out of it. So that's a big thing. So like if he were to go out and run with these, he would not be feeling good the next day or two.
True story.
Depending on the distance, he can probably get away with a mile or so with that. But when you start to get in that longer distance, you really need that good pair of running shoes.
And don't go for your first run in a pair of shoes. Stop breaking them in a little bit. I learned that lesson the hard way earlier this year when I took my new shoes out and was unable to walk for 3 days afterwards. Different brand. Big part.
Big part. So just to touch base so I don't forget about, with the running shoe, once you find a brand that you like and the model you like, they typically don't change the shoe.
Year over year, they'll change the style.
The
make it look
look.
Cooler.
Yeah. But the actual base of the shoe is going to stay the same. So Like I personally know the two shoes that I wear. I wear the Brooks GTSs and the Saucony Guides, which are the ones that you have.
The exact same two shoes that I go with.
But so I can buy basically any of those. And as long as I stay in there, I can do a decent run the first time out. I mean, you don't want to go and buy a new pair of shoes and do a marathon.
Certainly.
But, so just to touch base on that, you do want to start off slow, walk in them, break them in before you really get after it.
So what would you tell somebody they've been running a little bit, they can do their 5Ks, but they want to go to the next level. They want to extend their mileage. They want to improve their times. What are some of the things that you might suggest to them to be able to do those types of activities at a higher level?
So typically people just run, 3 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever it is, 5 days a week. I am very much at the mindset of less is more. I have a couple of marathoners that I train that they only run 3 days a week. Okay. Less is always more. So the more you pound the pavement, the more chances for an injury. Mm-hmm. Okay. That doesn't mean your mileage is in that course of a week is about the same. So instead of doing a short run, long run, maybe it's a short run, medium run, and a long run or something along those lines. That way we get the same mileages and stuff. And then the forgotten thing that people really don't do when they're talking about a running program is speed work. Mm-hmm. So a good way, if you wanted to get your 5K or 10K time up, is really getting into those, short sprints, so to say. And it's all off your 5K pace, your 10K pace, all that. But even the 200 meter sprints, runs, 400 meter, 800 meters, whatever it may be. But that's really the unforgotten thing. So speed work is a big thing. So working on those short distances and for speed, it's going to help your time in your 5K and your 10K. Mm-hmm.
An example of more speed work besides just sprinting, walking, starting over, or at a track, I found, and I really enjoy doing, they're called Fartlek Runs, which they have a funny name.
Real name.
True. And they're designed that you pick the distance that you want to go, and you're going to run maybe even above what your actual 5K pace might be. So if I try to run a 5K at maybe an 8:30 pace, I'm going to try to run for half a mile at 7:30 or 7:45. Then I stop for half a mile, but I don't stop running.
Yep.
I continue to jog at more of a relaxed, maybe a 10:30 or an 11-minute per mile pace. And for everyone, that's different too. For somebody, going all out might be 11 minutes, and it might be walking. But I found that Joe mentioned earlier when he did his first half marathon, earlier this year, ran my best 5K ever at the time, which was just over 25 minutes. And by doing a fartlek run and exerting what I felt was less energy, I beat that time when it didn't count. So it's just one of those things that you don't have to always try to stay consistent, but that speed work will help you out over the longer duration there.
So if you don't know much about paces and stuff, basically as you're running, you look over and you go, okay, I'm going to sprint to that fire hydrant. You sprint to that fire hydrant and then you slow down. And then a couple minutes later, a minute later, you go, okay, I'm going to sprint to that house, and you sprint to that house, and then you start jogging again. So that's really what it is. If you really don't know your pace, so to say.
And as we talk about things like pace, we're going to get into more of the gadgets and things that you need for running later, but this is mine. This is my smartwatch GPS tracker. This is actually for runners. This is called the Garmin Vivo Active 3. I use this and I actually turn it into my everyday watch. I bought a separate band that I don't run in. That way it keeps track of the number of steps and things that I do. But almost any smartwatch, there are other compatible devices as well. You can set it up that you are running. My wife's, you don't even need to tell it. It will notice that you're running.
Yep.
And it will display how long you've been running, what pace you are running, and how far that you've gone. On basically any of those. So once you settle into a pace that you're comfortable with, you can start to see those numbers and really fall into more of an area where you're confident in what you're doing. When I first started running, I came out, I was like, I know I got this. I look at my watch, 6 minutes and 45 seconds. I made it 3/4 of a mile, and that was my run for the day because I put everything that I had. That's another, big error a lot of people will make too. Too much, too fast.
Less is more. Always less is more. If you always think of running as less is more, or any training plan is so to say, going out slower, less speed at the very beginning is going to help you later down the road. The running apps and stuff, or the running watches are great. You don't need to get any of that. You can use it on your phone.
Free apps are abundant.
Free apps, there's a bunch of them. Nike Plus, Map My Run, all that. So absolutely.
So Joe, if you were to develop a training plan right now, what would you suggest? How many weeks? Let's say if I'm leading up to my first 10K.
Let's start with 5K.
Start with the 5K. I'm leading up to my first 5K. How many weeks would you suggest to someone to train? How many days per week? What types of runs are they doing? If you were to develop that plan today?
8 weeks minimum, 3 runs per week, and then basically short run, long run, and some kind of speed work, so to say. Tempo runs are another good one. So a tempo run is one of my favorite. He uses Fartlek as one of his favorite. A tempo run is, say I'm going to run 3 miles. For 1.5 miles of it, I'm going to run at whatever pace, nice and comfortable. Once I get to that 1.5 mile mark, the second 1.5 miles, I need to be faster than my first 1.5 miles. A lot of times, and that really trains me personally. I'm a come out of the gates firing type of guy. So that really trains me to be pace conscious at the very beginning. And then when I turn around, I'm trying to beat that time back. And that's going to train your second half of the run. So either the fartlek, the tempo run, or speed work, maybe on a track or something, would be the third run. So be like a short, easy run, a speed work run, and then a long run. So it's really, that's it. That's for, believe it or not, 5K. 10K is going to be an 8-week plan too. Typically, if you have a 5K base, it'll be a 10-week plan. If you don't have a 5K base and you're just jumping right into a 10K, I don't recommend. But if you are, then we would bump it up to about 12 weeks. Most half marathons are, between 12 and 18 weeks. And then marathons are between 18 and 24 weeks. So you really got a big plethora of different things you can do. I've gotten people ready in 5 weeks for a 5K via a run walk program. So, I mean, it's really, there's programs for no matter what time and distance that you're looking to do.
So we've talked a lot about the aerobic ability to build up for that. Is there any supplementary type of workouts that you might suggest, whether that be squatting or anything like that?
There's a plethora of them. A lot of hip flexor stuff, a lot of quad stuff, a lot of hamstring stuff. In the gyms, you got your leg extension, leg curl machines. You can naturally do squats. Lunges are a big thing. And then the drill work that you see on TV, high knees, butt kickers, straight leg walks, all of those are really good too. So typically if you see like what your kids might be doing for warm-ups in football, baseball, that's all going to correlate to the same thing for a runner. So a lot of different supplement works. Then the number one missing thing that most people kind of forget about is core. Okay, your core, your stomach through your lower back, and even the upper back, believe it or not, is huge in running. A lot of times when a runner is coming to the finish line, how do they look? Here, and they're just shuffling their feet and they're trying to get by and get to that finish line. But if you look at those elite runners, if you have ever had a chance to see the Chicago Marathon in person or watch those elite runners, even not being a true runner, I wouldn't call myself a true runner. I'm a runner, but I'm not like, it wasn't my bread. Like you're not
setting the world record like Elliot Kipchoge.
No,
running.
I was
under 2-hour marathon.
Yeah, I was a football player. I ran for 5 seconds and took a 30-second break. So, but they look like they're floating. Like their touch on the ground is very quick and they're right up. They literally look like they're floating. And when they cross that finish line, they're still up here. All right. They really work that upper back, the lats, everything to pull ourselves up, strong core. So we're up here nice and tall as we're running. A lot of times we fall like this and we start to sink in. So really core work is a big, big thing that you really got to work on when it comes to your running.
One of the things we haven't really touched on yet, but as I've gotten older, I've learned it arguably the most important part, stretching, warming up. Yeah. I mean, we've kind of glossed over a lot of that, but I know 14, 15-year-old Ben never took it serious
No.
during baseball practice warm-ups.
Yep.
And then now 32-year-old Ben goes out, runs without stretching, and then only wants to sit on the couch the next day.
Yep.
So what are some of the good stretches that we can do? What are the important muscle groups even, more specifically?
Hamstrings, big one. Glutes, another big one. So grabbing your knee, pulling it up to your chest, even sitting down. I don't know if you can see it here. I'll just stand up for it. Right here, just grabbing that knee and pulling it up here. All right, that's really going to stretch out the hip flexor. That's a good one that I really have every one of my clients, no matter what program we're going to do, is really one that's going to start. So hip flexors, your hamstrings, your quads, your calves. And if you're going for a longer, more of a speed run, it is okay to go for, 800, half mile as a warm up before you even start it. At the end of the day, we don't want to do long holdage stretches before a run or any kind of workout. You want to do what we call more dynamic warm up, getting the core body temperature to rise. That's the big thing. We want to warm everything up. There's actually a lot of science behind it that if you stretch and then go for like a long, hard stretch, like the minute-long stretches or all that, and then go for a high-intensity workout, you have more chance of an injury. Where a dynamic warm-up, so like the high knees, the butt kickers, so running in a high knee is going to get those legs and those hamstrings going. A butt kicker is going to get the quads going. The straight leg kick walks, where you just walk and you kick your leg straight up, is another hamstring work. But that lengthens it and then shortens it. Short little spurts, where the stretches where you just sit there and hold like the old school when you're in grade school, count down 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are for after a run. Okay, you want to take 10, 15 minutes to stretch everything out after a run. You want to dynamically warm up prior to a run. Big things.
Awesome. So now we've talked a lot about how, why, some of the ways to do it. We're going to get into the workout that Joe's talked about, but we're going to go over one more time before you watch me awkwardly run across your screen.
Very awkwardly.
About the things to bring with you, the equipment that's needed. And especially this time of year, let's talk about clothing first.
Okay.
And clothing changes depending what time of the year that you're running. Before you get into treadmill season, if you're running outside, your clothing's going to, be impacted dramatically. What I always suggest is lightweight, moisture wicking clothing. The further that you go, you could even look for the type of shorts that have liners and underwear built into them, things like that. So, my personal preference.
Yes. I was just going to say that because I will tell you to wear whatever's comfortable and what's ever going to be comfortable for the long haul. I'm a cotton guy. I sweat so much that the moisture wicking just drips off and it's annoying to me. I like to personally wear cotton shirts. But what I do is I wear one of those moisture wicking tight undershirts. I am one that sweats a lot, run in the heat, and I wear 2 or 3 shirts every time I run. I'm just one of those guys. So it's really what's comfortable. But he is correct that the new technology out there, the lightweight, the moisture wicking, it is soft, it is light, it's breathable. But some people just don't like those articles of clothing. And sometimes you'll find one with a bad seam in the middle. Have you ever had that? Like a bad seam here that just starts to chafe, so to say.
That was going to be the next point I was going to bring up. Be really confident or cognizant of the material it's made out of.
Yep.
And if it has graphics or logos on it, the placement of those things. It's one of the things that a lot of people are afraid to talk about, but chafing when it comes to running. Your legs can rub together in your thigh area. That could cause chafing there. Nipple bleeding from the episode of The Office.
Yep.
I had that happen to me wearing a shirt from a 5K. I had a large circle right here, and that was just an unfortunate place for it. And when you're running 6-7 miles at a time, that's just constant rubbing, and over time it's going to get to you. If you're running the shorter distances, it might not be as big of a deal. When you really start to extend out, it's something to be aware of. Material, graphics, things like that.
If you have an area that you can chafe a lot with, Vaseline. Mine is always like right here. I've been taught really young to keep your arms here. That's more from speed work for sprinters and stuff. It's staying right here. So if I'm wearing sleeveless shirts, like it's right here. So just Vaseline, rub it on there and it'll stay good. Toes in your socks. That's a big one. People get a lot of blisters on their toes and stuff. It's going to happen. Believe it or not, did you know that running is one of the most injury prone workouts?
Oh, absolutely.
70% of all runners get hurt. Not to scare you. Don't get me wrong. When we talk about that, those are the athletes. Those are the long distance runners.
But it's also among cardiovascular sports. It's the highest of impact.
Yes. And it's one of the, in my opinion, running and walking. Whenever I say running, walking's involved there too. A walking program could be the same as a running program. So it's all going to be the same. But it's one of the best for the cardiovascular aspect.
Absolutely. The next thing, especially, is water. The further you start to go, you're going to hear a lot of different water tips and tricks from different types of people. A lot of people will go out ahead of a run and strategically place a bottle of water along their route. Some people on shorter runs tend to not hydrate properly, and then they just wait till they get home. The world record
raising your hand?
that was guilty.
Yeah.
The world record half marathon runner, they've said the reason he never contends for the record in the full marathon is he doesn't know how to properly hydrate himself.
Absolutely.
So
hydration is
huge part of it. One of the things I suggest, you can actually go and get yourself one of these water backpacks. This is very lightweight. You have a bladder inside. We talked about those in rucksacking. And if you can get this tight to your body and you don't mind the sloshing sound behind you, then this is something that you've got your hydration with you the entire time.
Yep. I can't personally wear those. Like, it's annoying to me. So I'm a drop a water bottle. Say we're doing an out and back route. Say we're doing 6 miles. At the 1.5 mile mark, I'll drop a bottle of water. So I'll carry it till I get to the 1.5 mile mark, go that 1.5 mile further, come back. Now I got it for my second half of my run. So
something to also do, and this is another thing that people are afraid to talk about with running, any type of consumption during a run, water, Powerade, Gatorade, one of those little goo bars, it does impact your gastrointestinal system differently while you're running. Practice, and it won't be a problem. But if you're going out and you've never had a drink of water before on a run, and then as you're trying to set a new personal best, you take a drink of water, you start to get those side cramps from doing it, just practice ahead of time, you can avoid that.
Yep.
Sunscreen, we've said it in everyone.
Absolutely.
Nothing like going out and ended up with burned skin, top of your head gets burned. Most people wear hats, bandanas when they run. Really gives them a little bit of barrier there. And we've been ad nauseum about it in this episode, but in my opinion, the most important part is good shoes.
Absolutely. Like I can't stress enough how many times I talk to people that, I started running, but my shin's starting to hurt, my calf's starting to hurt, my hip's starting to hurt. And I look at their shoes and they're wearing their shoes that they use to cut the grass in.
The white New Balances? Or was that just me?
That's just you.
The Air Monarch Nikes?
That's funny.
Dad shoes.
Yeah. A good pair of shoes, yes, it's going to cost you some money. Okay. But if you're really serious about going in any kind of training program, when it comes to pounding the pavement, you really, 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 really need a good pair of shoes. Did I say enough reallys there?
I think you can do a couple.
Okay.
It's that important.
It's that important. On the side of running, the shoes, there's 4 different surfaces to run on, especially around here. Naturally, the crushed limestone is the best. Okay, that's the softest for your body. Then it would go to grass. All right, any kind of grass surface, dirt, any of that. Then actually it's asphalt. I would tell everybody and anybody, do not run on the sidewalks. Concrete is so hard, even though you look at it to the touch and the look and all that, blacktop and asphalt look the same, they're the hard. If you fall on it, it's going to hurt the same on one and the other. But when it comes to your body, it is very, very, very much of a big difference. So if you can run in the street or on a paved park, like the trail at Wallin,
Well, like,
is totally fine. Wapanzi is
crushed limestone until north of Laraway Road, then that would
Yep.
be another pave.
Make sure you stay on the street, so to say. Then number 2, touch point on this. I'm sorry, I'm getting off track a little bit. Run against traffic.
Yes.
That's a big thing. You bike with traffic, you run against traffic. Okay, so that's a big thing. And for the most part, as long as you're not in a heavily dense population, runners, or, you know, cars and everything, they can see you, they move out of the way. I never run on the sidewalk. I refuse to, because it just hurts my body. I know if I run on the sidewalk, I'm going to feel it. So just remember, try to get off that sidewalk, go to one of the preserves where it's safe. That's going to be their best bet. If you do go running on outside, then you can be outside on the asphalt.
And if you're going to run outside against traffic, a lot of runners' clothes is intentionally bright. And if you're in the time of year where you don't have as much sunlight as we do right now, you're going to see most running attire with reflective strips on it. So that helps light you up to the car that's coming at you. So something else there. And another point, a little bit off script, I want to talk about. You said there's 4 types of surfaces. A lot of people are vacationing this time of year, Joe, near a lake. And then are going down maybe Florida and some beaches. What kind of impact does sand have?
Oh, sand's huge. You got to be really careful with the sand though, because of the ankle turnovers and stuff. But you're getting so much of a calf and a quad workout running in sand that it is beneficial to the body. That would be, if we had it available around here, it would be in a training plan that I would, every training plan I would write for running would be to run in sand.
It adds a lot of resistance to you along the way.
Yep.
One of the things that's interesting too is on most beaches, you're actually running like this for a lot of it. So you got to make sure to go back on the same path to really even that out. So we've talked a lot about the equipment. Now, Joe, talk to us about the workout plan that you've put together for everyone, and then everyone can mock my running yet again.
Yes, and we will mock his running. I know I sure will. So the workout itself is 3 levels. Okay, level 1 is literally just a walking program. Okay, the main things what I want you to really think about is just getting that distance. Okay, that time. We're looking to increase the time in the preserve each time. Really, it's just about distance. Level 2 of the workout is run walking. So this is what a lot of the Couch to 5K type programs are. I'm going to break it down. You don't have to pay for any Couch to 5K stuff. You can come talk to me, or you run for a certain amount of time, then you walk for a certain amount of time. So what I wrote here, you're going to go for a 20 or 30 minute run walk combination. So you want to go for 20 to 30 minutes. You're going to run for a minute. It doesn't matter if it's a shuffle run. You know, we can talk about gait and all that stuff too, but you want to run for a minute, then you want to walk for 2 minutes, then run for a minute, walk for 2 minutes, run for a minute, walk for 2 minutes. The biggest key with this is you got to go the whole duration when you start. If you set yourself to go 30 minutes, you're run walking 1 minute, 2 minutes for the entire 30 minutes. I see it all the time happen where somebody will get through that first 1 minute and then 2 minutes, and they're like, well, that was way too much walking. So they start going and all of a sudden running for 2 minutes rather than their only 1 minute run. But then by the time you get to 20, 25, 30 minutes, you can't do it no more because you're not trained up to it. So make sure you stick with that 1 minute running, 1 minute, 2 minutes walking until you finish that 30 minutes. If it's really easy the first time, then at the very bottom, what you're going to do is shorten your walk time. So you go 1 minute of running and then 1.5 minutes of walking. So your recovery is a little bit less. And then keep going until you're really going for the entire 30 minutes you're running. Once you graduate from level 2, whatever that's a 20 or 30 minute run, then a basic run program is 2 short runs, 1 long run. So basically it'd be a short, easy run the day 1. Day 2 would be a short, faster run, so to say. The distance can be a little bit shorter. We just want to get a little bit faster. And then day 3 would be that long, easy pace run. Okay. If you're starting with 1 mile and 1 mile on your short runs, maybe it's only 1.5 miles on your long run. okay? And then you just keep adding it a little bit each week, half mile here, quarter mile here, and so on. Always remember, I would always prescribe rest 1 day between each run, or cross train. Come to the gym, do strength training exercises, whatever it may be during that rest day. Just because it's a rest day really only means it's something other than running, okay? And then finally, we'll get in to see Wallin Lake and Ben's awkward running style.
It's super enjoyable for me.
What?
Can't miss me on the trail.
Your awkward running style?
Beautiful place to run. It's one of the places I go most frequently. I do a lot of my outdoor events that I program or happen to be there, so I'm very familiar with this trail. Make sure you're following the rules. I mentioned earlier following trail safety, and those are one of the things to know. Make sure that the bicyclists and runners alike know how to handle each other. If you're on a bicycle, make sure that you inform someone that you're coming up on them. I always suggest to people to only run with one earpiece in.
Yep.
Don't do two. That way you can hear your surroundings.
And you said that whole loop is 3 miles?
1.6 around the lake
Okay.
itself.
So
The
2
lake
miles.
itself and the entire trail system at Wallin Lake is about 3.1 or 3.7 miles.
Perfect. We got to really fix that running style.
It's my knees. They're weird. They come up and they go out. It's just.
I just heard excuses. That can be fixed. I'm just kidding.
It's hereditary. There's nothing I can do.
But the good news is I can see him running from a mile away, legitimately.
Yeah, usually about a mile behind when you do see me.
Oh, here we go. You're gonna see us having a 5K race in the next week just because of that.
I would not go well for me. So in conclusion today, we covered a lot of stuff when it comes to
Absolutely.
running. There's a lot more we could cover. Feel free to reach out to Coach Joe with Fitness Premier. He's got a lot of great tips. He was the one who got me really started in my goals as a runner. I wouldn't be where I am today, being able to do it without his help. He's a great wealth of knowledge when it comes to that. And if you have any questions about where to run, make sure you come find me. When this goes on to Facebook, feel free to leave some questions. We will both monitor what's on the Facebook post there. And if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. Throw out some different areas for you to go. As I mentioned before, most of them this time of year that I'm looking for are well shaded. So I got a lot of great tips for you there too. Anything else you want to add today, Joe?
No, it was a pleasure. I actually really enjoy running and talking about running. It is a sport that I never really thought I'd ever get involved in. And then all of a sudden I was running 5Ks and started getting medals. And I was like, so I can compete in this? So yeah, check out any local 5Ks. Most of them are virtual right now. But like I know we just launched a virtual one. It was very successful. So even a virtual run, get you a plan, stop in at Fitness Premier Manhattan. I can get you a plan. We can sit you down and guide you through it.
Absolutely. Make sure to come back next week, next Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. when we talk about using kayaking for fitness. And just again, as a disclaimer, we're not going to teach you how to kayak. This is going to be the highest level barrier to entry program that we talk about. What we're actually going to be talking about next week is the benefits of kayaking on your personal health, how it can benefit you in your journey, and things like that. So first, make sure you check out one of the Forest Preserve kayaking programs so you can learn how to do it. Second, come and watch our program so you can see how it's going to impact your physical fitness. Till then, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.